This is the final moments of Mo Wilson's life.
He who is jealous is never jealous of what you see. With what is imagined is enough. Those were the final screams of 25-year-old rising cyclist star Anna Mariah Wilson, who was shot to death twice in the head and once in the heart by love rival 35-year-old yoga teacher Caitlin Armstrong. The two women formed the traditional love triangle structure by being romantically linked to the same man, professional cyclist Colin Strickland. But this tragic love story is anything but basic. It was intense, shocking, and blood boiling, enough to make international headlines. If you know nothing about this case, but hear this one detail, it will be enough to make your stomach churn, knowing that people like this exist amongst us. That detail is, before the killer, Caitlin, administered those fatal shots that you guys just heard in that video, she waited for a total of 35 minutes in complete silence and darkness in a parking lot of a church, of all places. She then scoured the premises of Maple Avenue in Travis County, Texas, for over an hour before finally entering the house Anna was staying at and making the disastrous move. For approximately 2 hours, this woman was with herself, just driving and lurking in the dark with one goal in mind: to kill Anna. Out of pure jealousy. I mean, my God, that was enough time to think, okay, what I'm about to do is just really wrong, and if I know it's good for me, I should just drive away at this moment. If that reasonable little voice in Caitlin's head crossed her mind, it was overpowered by a bitter and poisonous perception of Anna, who was a younger woman and had already achieved many career milestones. But most critically, she was close to Caitlin's on and off again boyfriend, Colin. Before Caitlin, Anna and Colin actually had a thing for one another. And the two officially called it off, and that's when Caitlin entered the picture. All was fine and dandy, except that Colin and Anna were still very much connected and closer than ever before. Although Colin testified that he and Anna were just friends, the romantic touch was very noticeable and very obvious by those around them. In court findings, it was discovered that Colin traveled to meet with Anna, and the two would take inappropriate photos and exchange messages to one another. In October of 2021, Caitlin herself intervened and called Anna to inform her that Colin was hers and she should just stay away from him. Something must have came to light to garner such a call, but unfortunately that call fell on deaf ears because Colin and Anna were going as strong as ever and even got back together again that very same month. This is getting a little messy, so please bear with me. So October 2021 is when Caitlin and Colin officially broke up and where Colin and Anna picked up again. This timeline of events is further corroborated with a text message sent by Caitlin to one of her friends on November 7, 2021, and it reads, "Well, today is his birthday. He's at home with a 24-year-old who may or may not have moved to Austin, and I'm in Tulum solo, mostly practicing sound healing." This love triangle is in full force, guys, because apparently Caitlin and Colin got back together again. Because in January 2022, she called up a friend to express her extreme resentment and anger towards Anna, and even stated she was going to kill her because she was messing around with Colin when they were together. This January event, I believe, is further supported by a text message that Anna sent Colin after seeing him and Caitlyn together at an event. And that text message specifically reads, "Hey, so I would like to talk to you at some point. I had originally texted you on Friday, but appears my texts aren't going through again. This weekend was strange for me, and I just want to know what's going on. If you just want to be friends, seems to be the case, then that's cool, but I'd like to talk about it because honestly, my mind has been going circles and I don't know what to think." So basically, this Colin guy was pretty much intentionally or unintentionally entangling this web of confusion, jealousy, and hatred between the two women by kind of playing both of them. And he definitely, I feel like he got a kick out of it because let's be real, it probably gave him an ego boost having two women fight over him. So this tragic love triangle persists up until the days leading up to Anna's murder. So on May 10, 2022, Anna actually travels from San Francisco to Texas, where Colin and Caitlyn live, for an upcoming bike race. So Colin was in the area and the two quickly linked up the next day, not surprisingly. On May 11, 2022, hours before she was murdered, Colin picked Anna up from her friend's apartment. She was staying with a friend named Cash, and the pair went to a pool together and were reportedly very touchy-feely. Afterwards, they ate dinner together. Someone was closely watching them, though, and that someone was Caitlyn Armstrong. Y'all can be the judge and let me know if that sounds like a friendship or a situationship, but behind the good guy persona Colin boasted was a scandalous douchebag, let me get with every girl type of guy. Flings seemed common for this man, and he was even romantically involved with another pro cyclist while he was with Anna. He kept that a secret, however, and that secret tendency of his bled onto his subsequent relationships all the way up until May 11, 2022, the day that Anna gets killed. So on that fateful day, evidence suggests that he changed Anna's contact name in his phone and deleted text messages to Anna. He also had intentionally taken his phone off entirely when he was with Anna in that during their date. I would call it a date because that's what it really looked like. So that his whereabouts would not become known. Basically, he knew he was doing something bad because he was trying to cover it up. And he even texted Caitlyn after his date with Anna and lied to her about where he went. He said that he went to drop off flowers at someone's house and that his phone had died. Someone in this situation would only feel the need to lie if they were in some sort of relationship with that person. Do y'all feel me? Colin was the embodiment of a player, in my opinion. Friends of both Caitlyn and Anna described their relationship with Colin as an on and off again situation. But what set the two women apart really was that Caitlyn physically lived with Colin. She shared a business with him, allegedly, shared his money, and even slept in the same bed as him. Anna was the younger woman. She met Colin in her early 20s and was probably more prone to falling for Colin's mind games and his web of lies. Colin had both of these women on lock, basically. He probably got Caitlyn thinking she was the main woman, given all the resources he provided her, including an actual house. I mean, they both lived in that house together. On the other hand, he probably got Anna thinking that he was going to be leaving Caitlyn soon and that Caitlyn was this batshit crazy woman. Ultimately, that batshit side of Caitlyn manifested in the worst way possible. Some people argue that it was Colin's messy ways that eventually triggered Caitlyn to make the unfortunate and disturbing decision to end Anna's life. Caitlyn was already a disturbed and very insecure woman. Friends and family attest that she was subjected to sexual violence as a child and also exhibited moments of dissociation, possibly linked to her trauma. It was also stated that at the age of 5 years old, her mother and father got divorced due to the father having an affair. And this resulted in the mother having to raise all of their children on her own with little financial help from the father. So, possibly due to these external stressors, her mother actually became an alcoholic. And all of these events I'm stating right now, they're not excusing Caitlyn's disgusting and terrible decision to murder Anna. But from a psychological standpoint, we can see that Caitlyn's earlier life was not great, and these environmental factors likely affected her into her adult life and subsequent relationships. Caitlyn was into Colin, but it was obvious that Colin was into Anna. And that pissed Caitlyn off because she likely did not believe she could ever amount to the woman Anna was. And that's who she was competing with in her mind, in her delusional mind. Anna was successful, shared the same profession as Colin, and she was what you would call the it girl. She had a very bright future ahead of her. And Caitlyn was truly insecure about that and simmered in her envious thoughts about her. Her unhealthy infatuation with the pro cyclist was borderline stalkerish. She would follow Anna's social media pages and monitor her text messages to Colin for the sole purpose to see where she's at and what she's going to do next. It's pretty creepy if you think about it. It's kind of like a horror movie. Really. This stalker tendency will come to light on the day Anna is eventually killed because on May 11, 2022, Caitlyn knew Anna was traveling into the area for a bike race, and she also knew that she was going to spend time with Colin. The moment Colin picked Anna up from her friend's apartment, Caitlyn started tailgating Colin's motorcycle. She monitored their every move, which was proven based on surveillance footage. At exactly 8:16 p.m., Colin and Anna leave the restaurant. At 8:26 p.m., Caitlyn's Jeep is seen driving northbound on Maple Avenue, the street where Anna was staying at with her friend. At 8:36 p.m., when Anna was dropped off back home, she had unlocked the code to her friend's apartment and entered, because that's how she would get into the residence. It was a code-based lock system. Then literally 1 minute later, Caitlyn's black Jeep is seen on a neighbor's Ring camera stopping next to their residence. Her Jeep is then turned off at 8:41 p.m. at the church down the alley after she had driven for hours just monitoring the area and waiting for Anna to come back. What a fucking creep. She was literally waiting to pounce. She only had one goal in mind: to kill Anna Moriah Wilson. Unfortunately, the door remained unlocked because somehow Caitlyn entered the apartment without having to break her way in. Horrifically, Anna's final moments of life are heard from the residence's front porch camera. The audio is chilling and very clear. We hear the exact moments Anna comes face to face with her killer, the blood-curdling screams, the pleads to live, and what sounds like no, no, no. Then multiple gunshots radiate the entire house, and then silence. The Jeep is turned back on at 9:17 p.m., less than 2 minutes after the shots. Immediately after shooting Anna to death, Caitlin allegedly went back home and then had sex with Colin as if to satisfy and just relish the fact that Anna had been physically removed from their life. This crazy woman probably felt powerful to have won this imaginary competition that she created in her mind, and it's seriously messed up to think about. Initially, when this all happened, the police focused on Colin because he was known to be one of the last people to have seen Anna, but his shock, forthcomingness to cooperate, and his story of events corroborated the evidence, and that all led the law enforcement to believe that Colin was not their person of interest. The missing bike from the scene made them think it was a robbery, but the fact that there was no sign of a break-in made them rule that out as well. It wasn't until they analyzed the black vehicle in the neighbor's Ring camera did they notice that it matched the make and model parked at Colin's house. He was driving a motorcycle that day, so that leaves only one other person living in that residence, and that person is Caitlin Armstrong. The day after the murder, Caitlin was actually brought in to the police station for a outstanding misdemeanor warrant due to not paying a bill for Botox. There was a discrepancy with the warrant because the date of birth in the system did not match the date of births on her records, and because of that, they said she was free to leave. But because Colin had previously mentioned Caitlin's name to the police when they initially spoke to him, the detective transitioned the interview. It was an interview, basically. She transitioned the conversation with Caitlin to focus on Anna's murder. She asked Caitlin if she heard what happened in the past 24 hours. And Caitlin, at that point, and the video is also online, she was she looked so creepy, guys. She was super still. She was just she looked super guilty. And Caitlin just vaguely tells the detectives that Colin mentioned a woman in the cycling community passed away. Then the detectives created a more direct approach with her by showing her evidence pertaining to Anna's death. During this time, Caitlin became very quiet and very still. She was shown video evidence of her vehicle from the Ring camera, and she offered no explanation and, oddly, also did not deny anything. The most emotion she showed during that interview was when the detective claimed Armstrong was upset that Colin was talking to Anna. It was at that point Caitlin rolled her eyes and looked very angry. She said she didn't even know the two were seeing each other, which was a bold-faced lie. Her own friends will tell law enforcement later on that Caitlin told them she wanted to kill Anna because of her relationship with Colin. The interview went on with the detective saying Caitlin's presence in the area and the circumstantial accounts from other individuals was not helping her case at all. Caitlin reportedly just nodded in agreement and asked to end the interview and leave because, again, she was at this point still free to leave. It wasn't until May 17 that an affidavit warrant of arrest was filed for Caitlin due to probable cause being established. She had a relationship with Anna and Colin, and her Jeep was spotted during the time of the murder. Alongside of her DNA being on Anna's bike. So the first interview likely made reality sink in and give Caitlin a feeling that they were on to her. She realized she dug herself a hole too deep to climb out. So one day, after the search warrant was made, Caitlin fled to Costa Rica using her sister's passport. She was desperate to escape reality, pretty much. So much so, she even got plastic surgery using another woman's name, and she dyed her hair a shade darker in an attempt to change her identity. On top of all of that, she was using multiple different names. So she continued her love for yoga as well in this new foreign country. She really thought she could just start life all over again. A manhunt obviously ensued because she is guilty as fuck. It took a total of 43 days to find this crazy woman. Law enforcement was using a variety of tactics to catch her, including even making fake yoga advertisements to see if she would fall for their trap. It wasn't until good old-fashioned police work was used did they eventually find her. Costa Rica is small but very touristy, so the detectives relied on the people to give them leads. They literally went place to place with her picture, asking them if they'd seen her. Someone mentioned a hostel, and sure enough, Caitlin was found sitting adjacent to another man. Her dark locks initially rendered her as unrecognizable, but as a detective approached her closer, he noticed her eyes matched the one from his picture. And you guys, eyes do not lie. So immediately after that, she was apprehended by Costa Rica authorities and extradited back to Texas. So June is when her court appearance started, and she actually requested a speedy trial on top of pleading not guilty. Her defense attorney attempted to overthrow the police interview that was initially conducted as evidence because she was not read her Miranda rights while being questioned about events surrounding the crime. Thankfully, that defense request failed, and the video was deemed admissible in court because it did not invalidate her arrest warrant. In October of 2023, just before her actual trial, and while she was still incarcerated, Caitlin attempted to escape prison. She lied about an injury and was able to leave without leg restraints, shackles, to go to a hospital. Once outside, she managed to use a tool to remove her handcuffs, and then she made a run for it. There's video footage of this, and I could play it right now. It is embarrassing, you guys, how the extent this woman will go to just run from reality. She really thought that she can get away with this. So all of that training, and she was literally training, you guys, while in jail. She would run, squat, stretch, do all this athletic shit. She was previously a yoga teacher, so she was really training hard for this day to escape. The result of her trial was obviously guilty. The evidence was damning, and over 40 witnesses testified, including Colin, Caitlin, and Anna's friends, as well as medical and crime scene experts. Ultimately, Caitlin Armstrong was found guilty for killing Anna Mariah Wilson, and she was sentenced to 90 years in prison with an eligibility for parole after 30 years. So I think it's safe to say that this woman will never see daylight ever again. The moral of this story is, well, there are a lot of morals. Don't be overly infatuated by another individual. Don't let jealousy consume your mind. Don't be played with, and don't be a player. Plain as that. Because on that last point especially, you really never know what person you're with and what they might do to you or those around you, like if you mistreat them. Even Colin himself said he thought he knew Caitlin, but after the murder, he now believes he doesn't know her. Some bullshit like that. It had to take a murder to happen for him to figure that out, for him to figure out that he doesn't know who Caitlin is. Anna's memory continues to live on by her family, friends, the biking community, with hopes to inspire and innovate. So, and as for Caitlin, I hope she can just make peace with being in prison for the rest of her life. And maybe she can actually practice yoga the correct way. Because yoga, it's supposed to bring peace into one's life, I believe. I hope you all found this video informative, and just please remember to like, share, and subscribe for more interesting content.